Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the stream that I'm hoping is actually working rather than being a little bit janky today. How are we all doing? Hoping you can hear me. If you can hear me, just pop a number 1 or something in the chat. That'd be absolutely spectacular, just to make sure that nothing's broken yet. I'm saying yet. Admittedly, the house continues to be broken, but that's how it goes. Yeah, welcome in. In today's stream, we're going to be discussing the BAKWA stuff. Specifically, he is a right winger that plays at Strasbourg that Leeds have been linked with, but it's looking like a little bit of a weird, interesting case. So I'm kind of curious to see what sort of direction that goes. And yeah, it's going to be a nice chill chat. I might have the Wrexham match on in the background just because I'm kind of curious as to how they're actually going to get on in the Championship, especially against the likes of a Southampton, who tend to be a little bit wobbly as teams go. Hello, War Piglet. I'm going to take that I'm actually audible, rather than just sort of hoping, seeing as you guys are saying things in the chat and not going nuts at the fact that I'm talking into a void, I suppose. So we'll see. Anyway, the BAKWA situation is looking a little bit interesting. Hello, by the way, War Piglet and Paul and I, Crazy Elliot. The BAKWA situation is currently a player at Strasbourg, out on the right wing, fairly creative, very sort of... Shh, shh, I'm watching this legally. I'm watching this legally. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. But yeah, hello, Void. Hello, Pierre. Yes, BAKWA, very, very promising winger, relatively young, pretty creative tends to be his thing. He's not one to score a hell of a lot of goals, but he's one to do a bit of a job either way. Leeds United are reported to have an interest. This much we knew this from a couple of weeks back, because Leeds United have reported interests with absolutely fucking everybody. It's fantastic. Since then, it appears that Nottingham Forest also have a little bit of an interest in BAKWA. They put in a £24 million or euro bid, I can't quite remember which of the two it was, which was then relatively promptly rejected by the club, which, fair enough, Strasbourg see him as being a little bit more valuable, that's completely fine. However, pretty big however, there is a little bit of a counter to this in that they only want between 26 and 30 million of pounds or euros, whichever of the two it is, which puts us into a little bit of a complicated situation. Because the complexities kick in when you look at the fact that Nottingham Forest clearly have a hell of a lot of cash. Nottingham Forest very, very clearly have a target, and they don't tend to miss those targets when they've got the cash. They didn't even lose their own player when they had a release clause for him. So I don't know what's going on with that one. It's just bamboozling. However, and it's a pretty fucking big however, to John, you can say if Forest are in for him, then move on. But you can look at a hell of a lot of different clubs and a hell of a lot of different situations that we've had over the years, and you can see that there have been times where players have wanted to come to us, have wanted to go to other clubs, have wanted to do all sorts of bits and bobs and shits and slobs, and have ended up not going to the club that it was believed early on that they were most likely to. You can't say, well, there's another club in for him, so let's not fucking bother, because that's how you get no one ever. That in itself is shooting yourself in the foot. It's a bit of an odd one. Yeah, they are effectively looking at replacing Elanga, but even if we don't do BAKWA, we'll get something done. And I don't know, I'm not a big fan of how in recent days everyone is sort of losing their head around all of the transfer stuff. Like, it's fine. At the end of the day, yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we got a new one in. But let's not act like we're not doing anything. Because, again, we have interest in a lot of different players. And a lot of people, like, I specifically saw Mr. Wainman earlier today. I sometimes refer to him as Joe, but at the same time, it's like I'm referring to myself, which confuses me a little bit. But I saw Joe earlier on say, well, if we were interested in BAKWA, why didn't we just go in and pay the money? And that's fine, yeah. We could have just gone in and paid the money, but if we're in a position where we value El Canoes more highly, if we've just jumped in and gotten BAKWA first, then El Canu says, actually, I do want to go to Leeds. Well done, you've gotten your second target because you weren't patient. So that's sort of my weird spot with it. Like, we can just jump in and get something done, sure, brilliant, fantastic. But then you risk losing the main target. Like, everyone was saying earlier in the window, why don't we just get... What's his fucking name? Millwall, centre-back, can play at right-back, £1.2 million release clause. Everyone keeps shouting that we need to sign him. Can anyone shout name at me in the chat? It will come to me, but I don't want to FB ref it. If I'm getting the knowledge, I'm getting it from you guys. Is it a T? Tor. It's not Torunariga, because that's a completely different player. Not Twanzebe. Tanganga, thank you. Yeah. Sorry, the cat's screaming at me. Yeah, Tanganga is, like, everyone's saying we should have signed Tanganga earlier in the window when he had a release clause. If we don't want Tanganga, and there's a list of players that we'd rather have, including Beale and Bornau, because he's mainly a centre-back rather than a right-back, then why wouldn't we want to focus on the players that we actually want? Like, I'm not going to say we should just sign Tanganga when he's very clearly not good enough, because no other clubs have triggered that same release clause, and other clubs do need centre-backs and right-backs. But I don't know. It's weird how we seem as a club to be very, very, very willing to jump at what's... Not as a club, sorry, as a fan base. We seem very, very willing to jump at what's easy and what's convenient rather than what's good. And I think the fact that we have 24/7 news, the fact that we've got, like, Twitter constantly just shooting out... I thought that was a shot then. We've got Twitter constantly shooting out transfer news. That's not great. It's not particularly healthy. And it means that we're in a very, very weird position at the minute of sitting here, looking at what is a normal transfer window and going, we're in trouble. We're not in trouble. We're doing okay at the moment. We needed, at the start of the window, 10 moves. Maybe. We've done 7. And on average, a third of transfer business gets done in the last 2 weeks. So we're ahead of schedule. That's fine. And on what Thorne has said here, saying anything other than a heavy loss is good news to me, I am firmly agreed with you. My one concern is that some people will see that, like, we're not carving open AC Milan. And in response, they will go, well, this is shit. This ain't good enough. And it's like, well, yeah, it's AC Milan. They're a very, very good side. And I think the head loss that we will get is horrendous. Previously, with Troy Parrott, would he be a decent signing? I don't believe so, specifically because I've had a chat with Jer, who's seen him playing for Ireland. And Jer's stance on it is also, he looked like he had potential, and then he developed into nothing. So, yeah, I don't know. Uh-oh. Sorry, I've just seen the predicted lineup for AC Milan. And it's pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Maignan in net, Estupinian in there as a left-back. It looks like Sam Byram or Isaac Schmidt will have to deal with Rafa Leao, which is a little bit terrifying. Luka Modric in the middle. That's a decent side. That's a properly good test for us, that. Is today's match on a particular DAZN channel? If you're in Germany or Italy, yes. If you are anywhere else, absolutely not. I think LUTV is probably a better shout. Plus, I think the club gets more money that way. Did they choose Perry? How do you mean did they choose Perry? If you're talking about Leeds, I don't know. Because there's only really a predicted AC Milan lineup at the moment. I'm guessing Perry gets minutes. I'm hoping at the start, because if he wouldn't fly out if he wasn't ready to play. And if you're playing in net, you're playing at least a half. So I think I would probably lean towards Lucas Perry starts with left back Goodmanson, centre back pairing of Strauch and Rodon, because you're going to stick with a centre back pairing that you start the season with. Right back, it's either Schmidt or Byram. Oh, very nearly a goal. But whichever one you pick is going to have to go up against Rafa Leao, so that's going to be fun. Centre of midfield, I think we go with the same three. I think it's going to be Ampadu, it's going to be Stack, it's going to be Longstaff. I am very much looking forward to Ampadu and Stack just violently abusing Luka Modric. Just causing severe damage to a pensioner for the sake of football. And then up top, you're probably looking at probably Mecha, although I might be tempted to lean Piru. And then I think with James having travelled, he gets probably 45. I don't know if that's going to be the first or second, but I'd want to try him maybe to start with. If not, then maybe Aronson. And then Nonto on the other flank, which isn't too bad. If we stand up well today, we might be much happier. We say that, but we were the better side against a Champions League club like a week ago. And everyone's instant response to that was, we're in trouble. We need significantly more. And it's like, I'm not convinced about that. I think we did fairly well against a club that came 5th in La Liga. Now we're against an AC Milan side that has one of the better left wingers on the planet. I'm maybe in the position of we should probably be a little bit more like sensible and breathe and be fine. SofaScore haven't announced the lineup yet. Correct, they haven't announced the lineups yet because that was a predicted lineup from an AC Milan fan page. But they'll have an idea of who has travelled and who hasn't travelled, and they'll take a step in the dark, I think. Modric is my favourite player of all. That is a weird favourite player of all time to have. I've got to be honest with you. Milan's the first team I supported as a kid, so it's nice to see him playing for them. Not weird in a bad way, by the way. Weird in a... As a kid, you were looking for things that other children weren't on the football pitch, and that's kind of impressive. I've subscribed to all your TV. What? Can't watch the game? What? What do you mean? What? You'll be able to watch it. It's fine. I think it's on a Match Pass thing. That's like $4.99 or something. But what you seem to miss is that like pre-season is for revenue more than anything else. Well, and training. And to stop fans complaining. Because apparently when you do like quiet behind the scenes pre-season stuff, people are like, why can't we go to Germany? It won't let me because the match hasn't begun yet. I don't know. The match kicks off in like 2 hours. I can't help you on that one. Good test today. Full house. It's like playing at Elland Road. The stadium in Dublin looks like a cracking stadium. It does. I really liked it from what I can see. Stab in the dark. Take your predictions, by the way. I'm a little bit curious about this. Who amongst the population thinks there will be more blue shirts and who thinks there'll be more yellow shirts? In fact, I'll run a poll. Or blue shirt from this year. There we go. There's your choices. Will we see more of the yellow? Will we see more of the blue? I'm a little bit curious. Predictions include 3-1 AC Milan for crazy. Oh, Tony thinks that we win, which is pretty brave, I'll be honest with you. Thorn thinks 2-0 Milan. Chimney Sweep thinks yellow. 2-0 to Leeds, according to Matt. And then, hello Ricky, how you doing? I don't know if Byram scores. I think if Byram is actually up against Leao on that flank, he's going to be squeezed back into position. I don't think he wants to take risks. Can see them resting a lot in the second half with the Chelsea game tomorrow. 2-1 Leeds. Yeah, the way that DAZN works it isn't just where you're based at that time. It ties nation to account, which means that we need a complicated back-end system to get our accounts into the right places. It works out, but I don't. Yeah, it's basically VPN proof, which could be a problem. So it might be an LUTV job for a lot of people. How strong will they be? I think they'll go reasonably strong, because I think with Chelsea having played yesterday, they're playing against Chelsea tomorrow. I think what the approach is going to be is two sides 45 minutes each. So that way you got 90 minutes but over 2 days. Which I think is quite fun. Hope it's not like that transfer window where we got to deadline day and then we're signing Gakpo, then Dieng, then Nonto supposedly as a striker. Yeah, I don't think it will be that case. But I really don't mind leaving things late, because that's just how the transfer window works. We had 2 more players turn as... Right, okay. Which players last night turned down Leeds? Unless you're talking about the thing that came out of the Italian media, which to me... Southampton nearly scored, sorry. Which to me felt like bollocks. It felt very sort of... Oh, cursed of it. He only wants to go to clubs in Italy. So if you're an Italian club looking for a strike... Kirstovic might be on the market for you, and you're not even fighting against Premier League sides. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I got from that it is entirely an agent telling which clubs, like, his player will want to go to. That, it stunk of that. It was a rancid stench of agent bullshit. So I'm not really concerned about that, to be honest with you. Plus, that's not really a case of they've turned down Leeds either. That's more a situation of they've turned down a move to the Premier League, which has nothing to do with us as a club. And also, Kirstovic has very, 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 very rarely been mentioned by anything on the Leeds end. So it feels completely like news that came out of Italy. You and John made a bet yesterday. Ooh, what was the bet? Curious. Right. Knowing that they owe us one, that would be nice for them to give us that game and copy that cup. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, I want to know what this bet was now. I don't know what we're meaning on the Pinamonte thing, I'll be honest. It's a name that I've seen a couple of times, but it's not one that I've really had time to dive into, which is a little bit of a shame. I'd rather have been able to, like, have a bit of a sniff around of stuff. But for a bit of an idea, by the way, in terms of the strength of side that we will be up against, it's not going to be a bunch of nobodies. Because on their pre-match graphic, which I'm about to pull up for you, look at Luka Modric. There's... Nick, you might be a little bit late. I feel like you've gone back to watch from the start. That's a penalty. Wrexham have a penalty. Okay, that keeps things interesting. But showing off Luka Modric is a little bit of a sign that something's going to happen with Modric. Specifically, he's going to play a little bit of football. So it's not going to be a bunch of nobodies that we're playing against, which means that we can actually take some form of, like, understanding from this match. It's brilliant. I love being able to look at a game of football and go, right, okay, so is this a fair reflection of what we'll be facing? And I think it will. Oh, it's very soft. On a second look, that penalty, that is a ridiculously soft penalty. Sorry, I'm going to move that over to the main monitor. You guys can't watch it. It's going over to my screen share monitor, and the best I can do for you is whoo. But if I watch the majority of it, then I get absolutely shot in the face by copyright restrictions. A joke BMG says we will sign players. I say we won't, therefore whoever wins pays for a charity of their choice. Can I vote Prostate Cancer UK, please? Because they're a very, very good charity, and they deserve a lot of time and attention and care. Nearly got there. 1-0 Wrexham, though. Hold on. Hold. Depending on what the other midday kickoffs are and what's happened in them, I think Wrexham are top of the fucking championship. This feels wrong, and I don't like it. I know, Dr. Cox, I just told you that. I'm a Leeds fan. It always amazes me how many other fans rely so heavily on their chosen team for their happiness. I mean, it clearly doesn't work to do so. Yeah, I've never been in a position of, like... I think it's a good bet, to be honest with you. Hold on. 2 bets. I said we'll sign 4 more players, and 2 of them will not be linked as of yesterday. He doesn't. Tenner for each part of the bet if I win. 4 is pushing it. I think 3. I don't think we do 4. I think we do 3. I don't think we want to do 4. That's the main thing. So I think the way that you should have taken that is you have a baseline of like £0 on the bet, right? And this is if there's 2 signings. Then if there's 0 signings, then whoever thinks there won't be any signings gets 20 quid. If there's 4 signings, you get 20 quid. And then like the linked or unlinked can vary based on that. But that's roughly where I'm going on it. Birmingham going to win the league by 15 points. I don't think so. They'll fight for promotion, but I don't think so. Too late, a bet's a bet. I know. But that's the way it is. I thought 3 but went 4 to entice him into it. That was your mistake. That was the problem. You were like, actually, I'm gonna make sure a bet happens, and by doing so, I will make sure I lose the bet. One sec. Bosh, sorry. I was just pinging a Wrexham supporting friend. They're allowed. They are from Wrexham. A message sort of saying Kiefer Moore's one of those players where you know that they're a bit of a character in every single way, but if you signed him, you probably see him as your character, which is probably the best way of summing up Kiefer Moore that I've ever thought of. Although, to be fair, I've very, very rarely thought of ways to sum up Kiefer Moore. Because if you spend your time talking about Kiefer Moore... Oh, hello. Aha! Like that. Or, aha. There's many, many ways of saying aha, so I'm going to need a little bit more direction, Eamon. But I'm more than happy to. Alan Partridge, like... I don't know. How do we have a partridgey aha? Hold on, I've just realised you guys didn't hear the super chat, so I'll do it again.
Giddy up, Joe. Could you do us a favour, say, aha?
Aha. I don't know. The EFL was great, but we're now in the Premier League. Won't miss it apart from the masses of wins. The masses of wins were nice. The perfect world is one in which you win the championship by winning like 30-something games, and then you just don't have to get promoted. Because, like, Premier League's a stressful time, man. Whereas if you can just hang out in the Champo, what a time. What a time. Far more chill. Melian not in the Leeds team in Dublin. Indeed, that makes me think that we probably get Lucas Perry starting. And especially because if you start him, that means that if he has any form of niggle, you can take him off. Whereas if he comes on in the second half, you can't bring Carl Darlow back unless you're completely fucking with the rules of friendlies or something. But yeah, I reckon that's a case of Melier gone, to be honest with you. It's just a case of where, because there's not that many options, I suppose. Right, I'm going to quickly do a YouTube search, and I'm just going to search the words Alan Partridge, aha. Like ABBA. Aha. 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 Lille. I don't know about Lille. Lille feel a little bit good for him. Like, that's in the nicest way possible from someone that doesn't hate Elon Melier to the extent that a lot of people do. Melier could go back to France. Yeah, Ligue 1 seems the most likely.
Knowing me Eamon Bowler, knowing you Joe Blackburn, aha.
Hold on. Uh-huh. Because you got to make it a little bit more nasally. Uh-huh. And then you get a little bit more partridge flavoured. That's a fucking dive. Up you get. I love watching the EFL as a neutral. It's so relaxing. But again, thank you for the super chat, Eamon. Massively appreciate it. If Perry looks rusty as he hasn't played minutes, would he be confident with Darlow starting against Everton or rather Perry? Perry. Because it's difficult for a goalkeeper to feel super rusty. Having goal kept a lot. Right, so the way that I've done the 7-side league that I play in, and I know it's a different level of football and all that kind of shit, but the way that I've generally sort of approached all of it is I'll tend to have a season in net and then a season outfield. So I will spend the season in net injuring my upper half, and then the season outfield injuring my lower half, and then everything gets a bit more balanced. Have you never watched Alan Partridge? Not extended amounts.
Yes.
Thank you again, Eamon. That's massively appreciated. But the moment you come off the outfield season, you sort of, in your first match back in net, you might have the occasional little wobble or something. But you're not going to be completely ruined in terms of like your health, in terms of your fitness, in terms of all this kind of shit. It's more a case of, okay, what's the rhythm? There it is. And you're back in it relatively quickly. Whereas if you're an outfield player, you need to have all the physical conditioning sorting. You have a lot more technical stuff to do. You need to remember your defensive shape, your attacking shape, what you're doing in transitional moments, all that kind of stuff. So, by comparison, as a goalkeeper, you don't do any of that. As a goalkeeper, it's... I thought that was 2-0 for a second. As a goalkeeper, your job is primarily keep the ball out of the net and look for the best place to put it when you're distributing it afterwards. So, and that might involve a little bit of tactical stuff. It might be a case of the manager's told you to try and hit the flanks because you've got your quicker players out there. They can push up the flank whilst your other players swarm the middle. And then you do a little bit of sort of working things forward. But that's easy to learn because that's a case of, okay, I'm just putting it there. Right, that's fine. Thank you. Thanks, boss. I'll do that from now on. And that simplifies things a little bit. And like short passing-y stuff like we tend to do is really easy to do. Because it's a case of receive the ball, which of my centre-backs is the better option? Pick them. Sorted. Easy enough. So I think in terms of Lucas Perry, where there is like a slim chance that there's a case of him not being in the best condition for this match, I honestly would be tempted to give him like an hour of this one. Just to make sure that he's got enough minutes to have hit that rhythm, because it's fairly quick to hit the rhythm, and is back at it. But again, he's still been doing a hell of a lot of training. He was training at his previous club for a long while before eventually coming to Leeds. So I think we'll be alright on that front, to be completely honest with you. That's not a big concern that I've got. Half an hour in now, and Wrexham still be beating Southampton, which is quite fun. I might do a fairly long stream. What are you guys' thoughts on a long stream? I don't know. Don't know, Pet. because I've not really got a ton to do until the match itself, so I might go until Wayneman starts. Then ping you guys over in his direction, which could be quite nice. I'm undecided, but that would be like another hour of stream, and that's quite a long while to be going. Like an hour and a half. That's reaching Imagine not being Leeds levels. That's maybe too much. More of you believe that there'll be more blue shirts than yellow shirts, however, which is quite interesting. And then I'll do another quick one. Do we predict a Leeds win? Do we predict a draw? Do we predict an AC Milan win? I will again be completely honest with you. I don't mind if things don't go well for us. I think that's completely fine, to be fair. I think even if we don't win this game, it's okay, because it doesn't matter, because it's a pre-season friendly. Don't be many black scarf shirts, that's for sure. I don't mind it. It's grown on me. I've got to be completely honest with you. I completely understand the people that don't like it too much, because at first glance I was like, ugh. But having seen it on people, I kind of like it. So if I go to Leeds United store... On that note, if you would like the third shirt, you can scan my QR code here. And there's also a link in the description below where you can get Leeds United shop merch, or anything from Fanatics, basically. And I get a small kickback, of which I don't know if I'm allowed to say the percentage, but it very, very genuinely helps the channel, and it makes all of this significantly more viable. How's the biscuit knees? Biscuit knees are improving because of the, as mentioned earlier, going in net this season rather than out, because it means that it's got time to be a little bit more solid. I've got a little bit of time to look after the knees and not put like running oomph on them time and time and time again. Because I'm not a technically good footballer, but I can do the running, which is quite good. I do not like and will not be buying the third shirt this year. That's fair enough. I get that. I don't mind it. I've got to be completely honest with you. It's growing on me a little bit. If I go to third, it won't be used too much either, which is quite nice. There we go. So, for example, why are there no pictures of the players in there? Like, what are we doing here? Southampton in the box, not having a shot. Okay. Right, let's fix that. $25.26 third kit available tomorrow. No, that was yesterday, but nice try. There it is. Right, okay, cool. So, I think it looks quite a lot better when it's on people. Like, I'm liking that look. That is a nice look of a shirt. Especially on Tanaka. That's looking mighty fine. So I'm tempted by it. Be brave, your tip for today. Why am I being tipped to be brave? What do you know that I don't? That's concerning. Yes, it does matter, Joe, it's football. But that's not what pre-season is about. Pre-season isn't a case of, yeah, but did you get all of the results? Did you get X amount of points? It doesn't realistically make a difference. What counts in terms of pre-season stuff is, did you increase the fitness? Did the players get a reasonable number of minutes in them so they understand the system? And did the performance look good? Performance matters a hell of a lot more than outcome. So the people that sort of lean really heavily into, yeah, but did we win? I don't get that. Because it feels like applying sort of needless strain on the situation when no one else is particularly sort of spooked about it. Like, I will be straight with you. I don't hugely care about the result today. The result can go either way. And I know there are people that do, but at the end of the day, if we lose 1-0 to AC Milan and we put up a hell of a performance, it's pretty damn good. If you look at it properly, the scarves stand out. They do, and I quite like that it's sort of implementing the design element from the other shirts. That was good. Thought it would look shite till I discovered the waving scarves. Yeah, I think the moment you see sort of the design intent, it starts to look significantly better. Which is good. Like, I enjoy it. It's a very, very nice shirt. Although a lot of people, not big fans. In terms of the result, 33% of people think it'll be a Leeds win, 48% think it'll be a draw, and 20% believe AC Milan win. I'm going to do another follow-up poll. Right, because I kind of want to see what people's vibes are on this. What do you care about more in this friendly? Is it the result, or is it the performance? Because at the same time, a lot of people are like, we didn't do enough against Villarreal. Well, we got a better result than Arsenal did. So if you're that bothered about the fact that we need to win, and us not winning means that we're going to get relegated or whatever, what does that say for Arsenal? Are they definitely down? Because we outdid them. Players will try hard to cement their place because they know we're signing 4 more. I mean, I would happily make a bet on 3, but you go for 4. The pixel dots are Leeds shields, are they? Hang on. Third option, we don't get any injuries. Nice. I like that. I like the thinking. Right, kits. Good save. Oh shit, they are. Okay, I really like that. That's a fun little design feature. Whoever's the designer on that has gone nuts, and I love it. That shirt is more than growing on me. I'm a big fan of that now. Who would you take from Milan if you could, Rafa? That's not even a question. Especially considering that Leao is a very, 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 very fucking good footballer. But he's that in a position that we need as well. So anyone that answers that question and doesn't say Rafa Leao is baffling in their football takes. Who else is even in the AC Milan squad? Who's their right back? Sorry, Southampton just... That's not a foul. You know when you can see a club that has very clearly been playing League One football against a club that has very clearly been playing Premier League football, and you're like, you're accustomed to different levels of violence in this game? That's a horrible dive. Leao up against Bayern today. Yeah, that's a little bit worrying. Is Tomori still at Milan? I don't know. But I'll be honest, I'm fairly happy with our selection of centre-backs. AC Milan squad. Let's have a look at the one that's on Transfermarkt. Tomori is still there, yeah. Also, he's 27 and he's over 6 foot, so you never know. He's got 2 years on his contract as well. Okay, you can't just say the word shite and then not add any context. Like, you get who is shite, why are they shite, what is shite, what's going on. Take Pulisic. Between him and Leao, if you've got the choice. Like the question was like, you've got free reign, go for whoever you want. There is no shot that of the two you're leading Pulisic. Especially since we've seen him in the Premier League and he wasn't super impressive. Right, Southampton, corner, not corner, free kick from where corners are. So, same thing. Doesn't matter too much. Southampton have not been playing Prem, that's why they went. A good point, yeah. But they were still doing the trying to play nice football thing for a while under Russell Martin, which is probably why they went down. Beyond that, Is it cheating to say that I take Estepinian purely because he just joined? Like that feels like cheating. That's a save. People say Sam's a steady 7 out of 10 but lose their heads if he starts. Yeah, it's... I think the view on him is he's a reliable squad player. Like, in terms of going forward, he's not going to be the guy that does, like, overly impressive stuff. He's just going to do a job. And that's sort of fine to have, but it's not the exciting thing that you want to see week in, week out. And that's the fundamental difference for me. People want to see the exciting thing, and when you're not the exciting thing, people are going to be like, oh, why aren't you exciting? That's the weird little corner that Sam Byram is sat in, I think. Leeds United over the years with new players never had started with a full 11 because there's always one or two injured. Yeah, but every club always has a few players injured. Like, that's almost guaranteed. I think, and it's not always a bad thing, right? You don't always have to have like your one set starting 11 on the pitch, because a lot of clubs don't have that, because you'll make tactical adjustments based on what you're facing. Like this season, if you're looking at our midfield, you're going to make changes depending on who you're playing against, because you're going to need to do different things in and out of possession. Byram's really there for emergencies and occasional few minutes at the end of games. Yeah, that's the sort of vibe that I'm on. I don't think he's realistically going to be starting many games this season. I did see someone asking about the Bogle news. The Bogle news is roughly that he's not in Dublin because he's just not. I don't know. I don't understand the specific reasoning about that. However, his injuries aren't as bad as they are being stated to be. This is from what I've seen and read from a couple of different places. It's not a he's out till December job, as far as I'm aware. It's looking more realistically like a potentially available for Everton, which is exactly what Daniel Farke said, like after the Villarreal friendly. So I don't mind that. If I was Farke, I'd play Schmidt for this match, see if it was match sharpness at Villarreal. Not a bad idea. There's maybe an argument for it, but if he does tend to see Schmidt as more of a winger, and you know that you're up against Rafael, are you realistically going to want to put two wingers on the same flank against one of the best left wingers in the world? I think that would be a bad idea, and would ultimately sort of like tarnish the resultant performance, because if you're constantly exposed down one side of the pitch and you end up losing like 4-0, that's a problem for those players that are on that flank. But it reflects on the entire team, and it's quite hard to build out an actual idea of what the performance is. Would Reguilon at left back be an option? I think he's on a free. I did see something about a potential move for Reguilon, but I can have a look. Not to Leeds, but I don't know why in the past I've searched Reguilon's squad number. 3 weeks ago, there was a little bit of news that Everton were going to offer him a 2-year contract. But it's all sort of agent-y chat, I think. Bournemouth lead race. Star offered to AC Milan. Players Leeds should sign. It's all sort of like tangential, not actually connective stuff when it comes to Reguilon at the moment. So, I don't know. I don't know if he's got that much quality either. So it's hard to say. Have AC Milan got a decent side out, i.e. a fair few first teamers? I think they will do. We don't know the lineups yet. They'll be in half an hour, 45 minutes-ish, depending on what sort of timescales we're working on. because in the Premier League now you get lineups 75 minutes before a match, rather than the previous getting lineups an hour before the match, which is fine, to be honest. But I think they'll put out a fairly strong side. Like they've put like Modric on their pre-match graphics and stuff. So I think it'll be start out with a strong side, sub various players off at various points, dependent on stuff. Says that till December. Hope not, because they'll need a replacement. Whoops, will you be watching? He won't go out until December. That's not going to happen. We need a book. Hold on, I am going to show you this little highlight because it's madness. Hits the post. Player stops it. Player stops it. What's going on? It's nuts. Okay, I'm not going to do that again because I might get nuked by the EFL. But it's good to know that I can very, very quickly make those edits. Connor Cody did a good thing.
Toilet fund.
Without context, that's going to sound so weird to some people. But thank you, Sly. I appreciate your contribution to the toilet fund. If anyone else would like to contribute to the toilet fund, it'd be massively appreciated. It's currently more of a piping fund, because toilet is technically working. It's just everything behind the scenes of the toilet that isn't. Which is fun. That's a good way of looking at it. Surely it's half time. How much stoppage are we having? Because the EFL match graphics don't tell you. I'm so glad we're not in that league anymore. We're free. We've been liberated. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. That's not offside. That's never offside. Square it. Donkey. The EFL is such a weird league. Is he blown for half time when it's a corner? Can see Flynn Down's getting sent off in the second half. They're raging with the ref. Yeah, it's funny. Any updates on James Justin? Sorry if you already covered it. Not that I have seen yet. I've not seen anything specifically surrounding James Justin, which is quite interesting, to be honest. Like, I thought we would have seen something by now. So unless we're sniffing around other targets too, uncertain. Ipswich going to get promoted with 90-minute goals again. Yeah, the penalty yesterday was weird. Tanganga seems like an obvious play. No, he doesn't. Come on. Let's not do this. Tanganga is primarily a centre-back. In terms of centre-backs, we've got 4 dedicated centre-backs, and Ethan Ampadu can drop in there. You don't go up to 6. And if you're saying as a right-back, didn't really play at right-back for Millwall last season. I know it's good to see like the cheap thing and know that in the past the cheap thing was good. That doesn't make the cheap thing good now. In fact, I'm gonna pull up his heat map from last season. There we go. But Tanganga can play right back, can't he? It's a stretch to say that he can. I've got to be honest with you. Where's your bloody heat map gone, Jaffet? I love that when you zoom in far enough, you just can't see heat maps anymore. That's really, really useful, actually. Thank you, SofaScore. Statistics? There we go, on statistics. Right. Pop F11. Cool. Zoom in a touch more. Also cool. Right, okay. It looks balked because I've had to zoom in really, really far, but this is heat map. Right-hand-sided centre-back, rather than a right-back, is what you're seeing if you're looking at Tanganga. So like the amount of stuff that he does in deep areas, this isn't what our right-backs do. This whole, like, hanging around in these nice attacking areas. Tanganga doesn't do that. All of this as well will be set pieces, which tells me maybe Tanganga doesn't really fit what we go for. On the other hand, I'm going to use Bogle as a point of comparison. Statistics. Look at that! All the way up the wing. So that's the profile of player that we are actually looking for. Rather than Tanganga's sort of a hang around here. And technically, it's the right-hand side of the back half of the pitch. So in theory, he's a right back. But in practice, he is not a right back in terms of what we actually need to do. Which would make him not a very good signing, in my opinion. That heat map's because he played at centre-back. The heat map is not his profile. Right, okay. If you have very, very constantly played as a centre-back, in the Championship, and you've been sort of average at doing that, why would you be an above-average non-centre-back? Why would you be an above-average right-back? Like Premier League, other seasons in which you actually played a bit. Cool, he got up at this point. This point was 21-22. That was 4 seasons ago. That was the last time he consistently played as a right back. 22-23, sure, but he got like 3 games. So he has been a right back in the past. But in the past is 4 or 5 years ago. Which for me is not what you need. Because in those years he will have lost a little bit of pace. He will have lost an understanding of how to do right back things. Because that happens. Because if you don't play that much football, you're not going to know the position anymore. And he's not going to fit into the same mould as a Jayden Bogle. Which means that, in my opinion, he isn't going to be the right fit for that job. I would much rather we sign an actual fullback than a centre-back that can play at fullback. Because, counterpoint, Pascal Strauch's played at left-back. Does that mean that he'd be a good left-back in this side? No. Absolutely not. Isn't Bono capable of playing right-back too, if or when fit? Yes, he can play as a right-back. But again, I'd rather we just get someone that can be a right-back rather than someone that isn't a right-back. Because I think too much of the time we lean into players that don't do the job that we signed them to do. And I don't understand why. I'd sign up Manor Solomon, yeah, he's injured at the moment, but he knows Leeds United and knows most people at the club. I think the current take on Manor Solomon is going to be that we know he fits into the club. We know that he is a decent player, but we've got targets in front of him. And I would much rather we go for the targets that are in front of him than just go for him. Because if we just purely go, let's get Manor Solomon so we've got someone through the door, there's a lot of potentially good players that you're leaving as like other options. It's like I mentioned with the BAKWA thing earlier. If we are considering El Canoes the main target right now, which I think we are, like various reports have come out stating that, then why would you sign on the BAKWA thing? Why would you say, let's jump for BAKWA just to make sure that we get him done? And then a little bit later, El Canoe says, I'd like to come to Leeds now. And you go, fuck. We've signed player 3 or 4 on the list rather than the player that we wanted the most when he did want to come, and all for the sake of not having a little bit of patience. Like, we know that El Canoe's release clause expires in 6 days' time. So if it comes to 7 days' time, and we've not signed him and he's not gone anywhere, then I will think, what the fuck are we doing? Because we didn't go for that release clause. And we had talks with his agents and all this kind of stuff, and we didn't move on from that. But in the meantime, I'm not going to be too pissed. Heard that BAKWA can cover left back, although that's not a particularly compelling reason to sign him. Yeah, he can cover that role. But I don't want to sign a winger as left back cover. Because in the same vein, Jack Harrison can do that. That doesn't mean that him doing that is good. So I think I agree with you on that. Leeds need players in next week. No excuses, no messing around. Yeah, agreed. I think if we get to the Everton match, we've not signed anyone, I'm going to be pretty peeved. Liam Miller, stop saying Liam Miller. Stop stanning the Canadian national team this hard. Unless you fancy getting Alphonso Davies through the door for us. That'd be good. If you want to do that, that wouldn't be a problem in the slightest. 1 second, I can hear the cat meowing really, really loudly, so I'm going to do her a little bit of food. So, enjoy a very quick break screen. Hello. Lee, I do not need a poo, and you can tell that I don't need a poo because the process of flushing the toilet right now is significantly longer than I want it to be. That process involves go downstairs, turn the house's water on, go upstairs, turn the valve on the toilet, hope that it doesn't leak too much. This is after putting a towel underneath it to make sure that that doesn't drip down. Because if it does drip down, it drips directly onto the boiler, which is fun. Then have a shit, flush the toilet, turn the ISO valve off, hope that it stops dripping, and then turn the house's water back off so that doesn't keep on dripping again. So I wish I could be that fast going for a dump right now. But that's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is it's a long ass process. And I would really, really like to fix that very, very soon. Anyway, you can always fill a bucket of water and flush it that way. I could, however, to fill a bucket of water, I would need to turn the house's water on, and turning the house's water on means that water goes back up into the isolation valve for the toilet. And because it's on the piping end rather than the toilet end that it's leaking, even if I turn the toilet's water on, it's dripping. So house water is off at the moment, which is fun. Knock on next door and use their bug. No, because, I don't know. A little bit of me is considering if I just turn the water on for a bit, fill the bath, and then use the bath as the toilet water supply. You never know, that could do it. Calendar, I know it's Caleb Wiley. At Strasbourg, a highly rated 20-year-old left back valued at 8 million worth a bid. Didn't he move fairly recently? Transfermarkt Strasbourg. Let's have a look. Is Caleb Wiley still there? Because he's very much not showing on their Transfermarkt page. I think Caleb Wiley might have moved. Caleb Wiley got signed by Chelsea. No, No, not Chelsea. Yes, he got signed permanently by Chelsea, but he went on loan to Watford. Bath's a good shout. Thank you. I do have some ideas sometimes. They're not all very good. They're very rarely any good. But there are ideas. BAKWA mode. I mean, we've got a garage. Call it an outhouse. Dig a hole. Admittedly, it's got a concrete floor, so it's not the easiest to dig the hole. So it could be complicated. But I'll find a way. I'll find a way to have my poo. Don't you worry. That's such a weird little bit of conversation. Anyway, I've decided I'm gonna keep going until we have the lineups for today. At which point I'm gonna call the stream there. But I think that's a fairly decent time to go. There are people called plumbers. I know there's people called plumbers. However, everything broke last night, which means that I've not really had time to sort everything. And the plumber guy that I know that often does bits and bobs for me on the cheap isn't getting back to me, which is a little bit annoying. That's fine. He used to be my 7-a-side captain. I say used to be. It was a good time. We only came last, which is good. Lineup is another hour. No, it's not. Lineup is either 12 minutes, because sometimes they release at 1:45 an hour before, or it's in 27 minutes. Either way is fine. You need Solomon ASAP. I don't know. I don't think we need Solomon as soon as possible. Could do with the signing. Doesn't need to be Solomon. Thank you for your contribution to the Plumber Fund slide.
Plumber, plunger emoji, fund.
Never mind, it's not the Plumber Fund, it's the Plumber Plunger Emoji Fund. Thank you, I appreciate that. I thought it was usually 30 minutes before the game, is stand corrected. Yeah, last season it was an hour, but Premier League regulation is an hour and a quarter, which is what Dr. Cox is referring to here. So last season the Premier League did an hour and a quarter, so I don't know if we'll be adapting to match that. Maybe, but we'll see. Could be interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. Lineup will either be at 2 or 1:45. At which point we will have a look, we'll have an assess, we'll have an analyse, and then as we end the stream, I will ping you all over to Just Joe's watch along, because that feels like a good place to launch people. The watch along, which is starting at 2, which is a little bit later than the lineups. So if it comes, ooh,
Plumber Fund edition.
Thank you, Andrew. I can't believe the Plumber Fund is becoming a thing, but thank you guys. Anyway, I see your message. I'm gonna respond to the first half of that. I agree that you can't really knock Underwood. The first half of the window was mind-blowingly good. It was genuinely spectacular. We don't know what the second half looks like yet, is the only thing. I feel like we will get the moves that we need to get done. It's more of a question of when and who. Gary Aronson was our best player against Villarreal. Relatively comfortably. Not all transfers work out. Yeah, that was the second half. Yeah. I think the moves that he's made so far have been very, very impressive. It's just about finishing it off. And if we can finish it off the right way, then absolutely wonderful. Oh, they're playing a nice little bit of ticky-tacky stuff. I thought that was in. I thought it was 1-1. He wasn't. He was. He definitely was. Isaac Schmidt was absolutely abysmal on the same flank, and he had to do most of Isaac Schmidt's work and then create a goal. That might be handball. And then create a goal for Joel Piroux himself. At the very least, he was one of our best players on the pitch, and if you would like to argue with that, I would love to hear who you've got as alternatives. Schmidt's too slow. It was kind of notable that Schmidt looked like he gained a little bit of bulk over the summer. And I don't know if he gained the Bamford bulk, where he got a little bit more muscly, or if he gained a bit of the McKennie bulk. But either way, Schmidt looked bigger, which is weird. The 49ers are now going for the cheap options. Sorry, right, okay. Sorry. Just to clear up. The most recent bit of news that we've got is Dylan BAKWA, who there has just been an offer for £24 million denied for. And you're saying that we're going for the cheap options. You're saying players that cost more than £24 million are the cheap options. Because that's fucking nuts. We all know that that's nuts. That's madness. Won't get him. Yeah, but we're still going for him. Like, come on. Like, we can be going for a player, like, and even if it doesn't work out, like, if we wanted him, that still counts as going for them. Come on. Let's not lose our nuts. But won't pay what you need to. Right, we'll use Paixão as the example. Okay? Marseille were rebuked many times because they wouldn't pay what they needed to. Okay? And then, hang on. Why does Kiefer Moore look like an actual footballer now? And then Leeds United put in a bid that matched what Feyenoord wanted. We reached their sort of requests, their wants. It was only after this, once we had paid what we had to, that Marseille swung in and were like, actually, yeah, we'll just pay that much. We did what we needed to. The fact that we're not playing Champions League football right now isn't...
Plymouth Fund.
Thank you, Pierre. But the fact that, like, we're not in the Champions League, that's not Adam Underwood's fault. That feels like a bit of a swing, to be honest with you. So I don't think we will end up with the cheap option. And whoever is also saying that Buonanotte is the cheap option, because I've seen that one as well, is nuts. Better financial package. I've not seen that anywhere at all. In the slightest. We had an offer on the table. Marseille matched it. It's fine. I don't think it was a case of we spent too long chasing Paixão. I think it was a case of Paixão was the priority whilst we were still having other conversations in the background. It's not going to be you are looking at one player and only one player at any one time. You'll be sort of, because recruitment departments have a lot of people and are in contact with a lot of people, they'll have had feelers out constantly, and it was a case of actively negotiating with Paixão, but still having conversations elsewhere to see what's going on. Cheap option was Tanaka once upon a time. Yeah, this as well. Like, a lot of people will look at a move that's happened and go, you've cheaped out there. I was like, no, we just didn't pay more than we had to. We paid the asking price and we got the thing. It's not our fault they didn't charge us more. If you want, we can go back in time and pay £15 million for Tanaka, but I'm not sure that'd be the smart thing to do. It feels like a weird one. I'll be honest, even right now, I'm not sure that we go down. Right now, we make it a fight. But we'll do more business. And people that assume that we don't do more business is nuts. Best cheap player we bought was Stuart Dallas at 1.5 million. That was a hell of a deal, to be fair. I think Klitsch was, like, very minimal as well. Can't remember how much. Let's not forget the issues we've had in the past with player contracts and inflated fees. Brazil just chuck money at signings. Yeah. And Orta, to be fair. Like, when we went down, we were in deep financial shit. And we were in deep, deep financial shit to the point that we had to sell Ruter and Somerville and Gray in the same summer. Now we're not in that shit. Now we're in a position where we actually have a little bit of flexibility in terms of like paying fees for players because the 49ers haven't like just gone nuts. No creativity, no goals. Right, okay. Hold on. Let's go for that, shall we? So, last season, in the EFL Championship, which is all that we can compare to, because it is, Leeds United came out of that season having scored 95 goals. Right? I think we can all agree that's not that bad. And if you add on to the fact that we had several goals just stolen from us because of times where like a player wasn't actually offside but was given offside, the number gets bigger. If I remember right, off the top of my head, that might be the most goals that Leeds United have scored in a single season. But apparently we don't have enough creativity. I know it's light years away. However, you can't look at this squad and say they've got absolutely fucking nothing when it is the best squad. Sorry, it's the best outcomes, is the way I'm going to phrase it, any Leeds United side has ever had at Championship level. Ever. 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 And at the same time, I fucking promise you, I guarantee that the same people that make this argument that are like, oh, squad's not good enough now, are the same people that last season were like, it's criminal if we don't go up with this squad. Identical people. No difference. But one time it was criminal to not go up, but now also, unless we do complete surgery, sacrifice Sam Byram to the gods, have Patrick Bamford hung, drawn and quartered, unless we do all of these things, the squad's never going to be good enough. And also there definitely isn't a significant like chunk of transfer window in which a third of all transfer business gets done in the last 2 weeks of a window. But we're not doing anything at all. Come on. Can we not just be a little bit fucking happy? Leeds are playing a match over in Ireland against AC Milan and are in a position where some people will be genuinely disappointed if we don't win. And all we can say is, yeah, well, it won't be like this next year. It doesn't fucking matter. On that note, we've got the lineup. Let's have a look. This looks like it will be the lineup that almost the lineup that we start the season with. I say almost because I believe, from what I am aware, Bogle has a chance of being fit next week. Lineup being Lucas Perry starts in goal, which I'm very, very, very happy with right now. I think Lucas Perry's going to have a fantastic time in net. Gabriel Gudmundsson, left back, who I think is going to have a fantastic time. I believe he's going to do really well at Leeds because he's very, very Furpo-y. And he's got a touch of the Alioski to him as well. Isaac Schmidt out on the right is spooky, but I don't think he's going to play out on the right against Everton if Bogle is back. And also we can do the thing that was mentioned earlier, which is maybe find out whether or not it was a rustiness thing. Pascal Struijk and Rodon as centre-backs, which is sort of expected. Like, they're going to be starting the season as the centre-back pairing because Biol is unavailable. Ampadu, Tanaka, Stack as your midfield three is quite good. You've got Ampadu and Stack, who can do your more static stuff and be a little bit more sturdy, whilst Tanaka is a little bit more of a box-to-box kind of player. Willie Nonto and Dan James as the wingers. Very good to see Dan James fit and healthy. I imagine he only gets a half just to make sure that we're looking after him. He's fine, he's good, he's wonderful. And then Peru starts up top, which I am quite happy with. Because I think Peru has the opportunity. If he plays a decent amount of football, he will be absolutely deadly in the Premier League. I think, at this point. Could be wrong, but that's my current vibing on Joel Peru. Below that, we've got our subs. We've got Darlow and Cairns, which is fine. That's kind of what we expected. I think Darlow will come on either at 45 minutes or 60. Who knows? Biol is also on the bench. He'll probably get a few minutes, but again, we need to remember he won't be available off the bench against Everton. Byram is also on there. I can see him swapping out for Schmidt at some point. Longstaff is, interestingly, on the bench with Gruev and Aronson, who are probably your central options. Aronson can also play out in the wide areas. Longstaff out for Tanaka's quite interesting. I think that might be experimenting with roles and stuff, because Tanaka's a bit of a conduit. Tanaka's someone that you can sort of push the ball through and he'll then put it in another direction. He's the pipe through which your water flows. Hopefully he's not particularly leaky. Whereas Longstaff often progresses the ball with it at his feet, which is sort of an interesting option to go with Tanaka. Ramazani and Harrison on the bench. That's pretty much fine by me. Harrison, I imagine, is part of the squad because we've not got that winger in yet. I think Harrison probably drops out as soon as we get a winger. Then you got Chadwick, who can also play in the wide areas. Gray, who is a 10/9, who I'd love to see a few minutes from today. And finally, Lucas Metcher, which is pretty good to me. I don't mind that squad. It's a pretty nice squad. I enjoy it. Reckon Ampadu gets found out in the Prem, far too laborious in possession. I think it's more a case of Ampadu spent time on the ball because he had time on the ball. It was quite rare that he'd get caught out with the ball at his feet, but yeah, it's a complicated one. I think we find out, because I think he's got the ability to speed up his game. But it was more a case of in the Championship he didn't need to, so he didn't particularly want to, is what I reckon with that. Could be wrong, but that's my theory on it. Southampton have made a batch of subs, including Mateus Fernandes. Was it Mateus Fernandes that we were interested in at the start of the window? Might have been. But he's come on in a wide area, I think, which is quite interesting. Aronson played well against Villarreal. Agreed. Easy B, Joe, have you been right about everything? I have complete faith in Fortin. As I'll admit, I didn't expect Falk to be the manager this season, but I believe they know what they're doing. I've absolutely not been right about everything. But I just tend to be a bit of an optimist. I've got to be honest. Like, I don't... From a football fan perspective, I don't see the point of looking at it and going, we're doomed, we're already down, and all this kind of stuff. Because, sure, maybe we do get relegated. That's a pretty damn big possibility. However, I would much rather approach the season thinking we've got a pretty damn decent chance than approach the season going, we're already down, it's going to be miserable, we're going to win 2 games all year. Like, I'd rather at least have a little bit of optimism to begin with, because the alternative is depressing. The alternative is just screaming into a void going, we need to sack the manager. No, we need to sign this manager, not this manager. This manager's just going to take us down to League One. We're in the Championship. We'll never come up again. We've got to sell everybody. If you're doing that, you don't get a moment of joy. Ever. Which is why I'm fine at the moment. At the end of the day, a transfer window is a question of what happened throughout the entire length of the window. And the entire length hasn't happened yet. As is, no, I don't think we have done enough. However, we've got time to do enough. So I think anyone that's in crisis is a little bit weirdly head lossy. That's not where I'm at with it, to be honest. Leeds will finish top 10. I think top 10's pushing it. I think in the 14th, 17th zone is where I'm feeling about the entire thing. Because it feels like the kind of place that you end up if you evade relegation and have a fairly decent season. And I think we're setting the foundations for a fairly decent season. Whether or not we have that, I don't know yet. It'd be nice to. But we'll see. Stay up, kick on. Yeah, that's what I'm happy enough with. You know, a lot of people will look at things, and if we don't beat Everton, it'll be the end of days. But ultimately, if we don't beat Everton, that's okay. Last season, Liverpool didn't beat Everton. They won the league. So if we don't beat Everton, it's not the case that, well, we're down, we're fucked, it's game over. That's not true. There's a hell of a lot of places to pick up points, and weird stuff happens in football. Success breeds complacency, complacency breeds failure, only the paranoid survive. No, the paranoid live in their concrete bunkers underground, never seeing sunlight and living off tinned food because they think the government is out to get them. There's a difference between paranoid and, like, realistic. Levels to it. On another cloud. Thank you, I think? I don't know. But if you haven't, like the stream because we're on clouds now. It's all about opinions. In my opinion, we finished top 10. That'd be nice. That'd be good. I wouldn't mind it. Realistically, the squad doesn't stay up. Yeah, but realistically, we also have 3 weeks left of the window. You can say that we don't stay up, and that's fine. Like, you can believe that. But we've got 3 weeks and 2 days. And I think to assume that nothing will happen... Oh, they're doing a Prostate Cancer UK ad on the stadium. I like that. But to assume that nothing is going to happen at all for the rest of the window is just nuts. I think the squad, as is, would at the very least have a reasonable fight against relegation. It might not survive, but it'd give it a damn good fucking go. Whereas to say that it would be immediately down, it'd be in 20th place or whatever, that's not true. Why select a team and its employees all year round every year but claim to be supporters? I really don't know. Like, there's some people who last season assumed that we wouldn't get promoted until there was like a month left in the window, maybe? Something like that. Not in the window, sorry. Until there was like a month left in the season. And then they were happy for a bit, and then the window started, and then they were depressed again. And it's sort of like, you know, that happy feeling that you had, that feeling of joy and optimism and like, oh my god, we're actually doing it, you can have that for a bit longer. It doesn't have to be a case of just giving up. Guessing the lineup means Jack is staying. I personally don't think so. I think in the event that we sign a winger, Jack's gone. But I also haven't seen anyone have a particularly strong interest in the guy. So it's complicated. It's all second or third choice options now, which won't be good enough. Right, okay. I'm going to harken you back to the summer of 2020. When it was the final day of the transfer window, people thought Leeds United needed to sign a winger. And the winger that Leeds United signed was someone that hadn't been linked in the slightest. His club was so willing to sell him that a year on, they took €1 million loss. That was Rafinha. So it's not all second options, because shit happens. That was the manager's pull. Okay. Realistically, no, it fucking wasn't. Because if it was the manager's pull, we would have had far stronger windows before that. Instead, we signed Barry Douglas at left back. To say that all of the options are gone because we've waited until, like, 3 weeks before the end of the window, that's not real. Come on. The players don't pop out of existence. People want to move like shortly after the season starts because then they learn what their position is within the squad. The start of the window, I would have been happy with Manor Solomon. I will be completely honest. I think Manor Solomon would not be a bad signing. If you disagree with that, fair enough. But what's happening? It's been said that we have interest in BAKWA, but Forest have had a £24 million bid rejected for him. Is what's going on with that. Solomon not good enough. Okay, according to what? What tells you that Solomon isn't good enough? If you're saying, oh, because that was the Championship, and if he did it in the Championship doesn't mean he can do it in the Premier League, that means fuck all. That means nothing. Because there is no evidence that it won't work. And if a lot of people have been like, Solomon isn't even good enough to get into his team, never mind Leeds. His team is Spurs. For the time that he was put out on loan, A, he was recovering from an injury. B, he was sat behind Kulusevski, Heung-min Son, and Brennan Johnson for his place in the team. So that's like, come on. There we go. Can't even get into the Spurs team. Yeah, you're right, man. It was so easy to break into that 11 pass. Heung-min Son. This is a good point from Matt as well. Up here. Massively outperformed Ramazani and Nonto. But actually, Ramazani should be starting. So Ramazani should start, but we shouldn't sign Manor Solomon. Right, okay. Okay. Should have been the way they played. So you're admitting that Manor Solomon would have improved the Spurs team. Therefore is good enough for the Premier League. Thanks, Gary. Anyway. Oh, shit. Red arrows just flew past my house. It's the Blackpool Air Show weekend, everybody. So, red arrows are going to be fucking about for a little bit. I can see the smoke trail and everything. Yeah, red arrows are going to be dicking about in the sky for a bit. Followed by various other things. I think there's a trio of yaks, and I'm not too sure why you're flying Soviet World War II props, but that's fine. Blackpool Air Show times. Fuck it. Ramazani didn't get enough minutes to do it. What? Okay. Some say Aronson could be Leeds' natural winger. Maybe, but in the case that we did that, we would also need someone to play in the wide areas. So, right. So red arrows go from 2 until 2:32. That was really fucking good timing. There's a Harvard. I don't know what that is. At 5 minutes past 3. Then a trio of yaks at 3:15. Then a Catalina, Muscle Pits, the Ravens. Don't know what they are. A Strike Master at 4:15. Chipmunks, Wingwalkers, and then at 5 o'clock, a Typhoon, which is quite nice. So at 5 o'clock, I'm going to stick my head out the window and be like, oh, we about to get Eurofighted. I have a bet on Piru each way to be top scorer next season. He only has to finish 4th. I don't think he's getting in the top 4, I've got to be honest with you. Looking at what the league looks like, Haaland takes a spot automatically. Salah takes a spot automatically. Let's be honest, Isak probably takes a spot automatically. Then probably Palmer? It's not an easy 4 to get into. Didn't you fancy Dublin? No, it turns out going away on my own for a weekend whilst my wife is pregnant at home is a bad idea. I decided against that one. That felt like a bit of a weird one. What's your opinion on the third kit? It's growing on me. The third kit is a nice looking thing if you've spent enough time looking at it. It looks significantly better on someone than it does on hanger. But I don't know. I thought Aaron Summers was a form of direct 10. I don't know if I call him direct, though. That's the thing, because he doesn't really do the dribbling thing. He's more receive the ball, lay it off to someone, move on to the next thing. Which is a fine enough thing to be. But yeah, anyway. I will draw the stream to a close in a few minutes. I'm currently just waiting for Mr. Wayneman to get started. It's weird when you look down at it whilst it's on. Oh, that's a fun sounding kit, though. I like a kit that looks weird when you look at it. Though I don't think it looks ridiculous. That's a bit far. But if you haven't yet, I'd hugely appreciate you popping a like on the stream. It's currently sitting at 94. So who knows, you could be number 100, which would be absolutely wonderful. Couldn't the mother-in-law look after the wife? I mean, probably, but at the same time, I would quite like to, being my wife, so I'd quite like spending a bit of time with her. Although she's currently out at work. And will be tomorrow as well, because there was a bit of drama surrounding her workplace. Which, on the bright side, might mean that she goes from temporary employee to a permanent one. But there's no real confirmation on that one either. So hard to know. Wrexham is such a weird team. I don't know what... Sometimes they look like they're controlling the match. Sometimes they look like they're playing a bit like FA Cup third round non-league side away from home. It's bizarre. You like spending time with your wife. What's going on in the world? I know, it's madness. It's chaos. Who knows? Why have the planes gone quiet? I know they're still in the sky nearby. In fact, I'm going to flight radar my own house. Not specifically my house. That would be a horrible idea. But if I click on this, there we go. Hold on, zoom in. Oh, look at the red arrowy boy. Hold on, I can do a 3D view of him as well. There we go. That's not what they look like. It's not what they look like even a little bit. Shit. Right, okay. I'm going to take from that the slight hint that Joe has gone live. So, I should be able to see you, you cheeky bastard. Oh, it's out of coverage. Oh, well. Anyway, I'm going to leave the stream there. I'm going to ping you over to Joe's stream, which is going to be quite nice. Oh, can someone who hasn't liked please quickly do it? It's sat at 100 at the minute, and I would quite like to end on a nice round number. It's infuriating when you don't. Please, anyone, I'm asking nicely. And then I'll end the stream. We'll do a raid, and we'll do the same raid that we always do, and we will just send the word cheese. No context, no reason, no Joe B raid, just as is, no capital letters, cheese. That's it. So, gonna bring the stream... Oh, thank you, 4 candles. Gonna bring the stream to a close, ping you over there. Hope you all enjoyed, and enjoy Leeds AC Milan. I will see you later. Ta-ra.